Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 0 to 1 podcast. My name is Peter Langan, and I am absolutely delighted you're here with me today. So, what am I going to be talking about today? Well, I'm going to be discussing, are podcasts worth it? Do we gain anything from them? Now, I certainly think we do, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. But nonetheless, some of you mightn't agree with me, or you might not yet realize the benefit of podcasting. So let's jump into it and let's see what you think. So, I haven't always listened to podcasts. They weren't always my thing. You know, I used to think podcasts were a bit boring. They weren't that exciting. To be honest with you, I kind of put them akin to the radio. So I didn't really enjoy the radio, and I was like, podcasts, no, I'm not going to get into that. But needless to say, I'm here and I'm producing a podcast because I've changed my tune. So why am I doing this? Why am I sharing my message here? Well, I think one of the most important things in business is to be able to tell a story. Because business ultimately is about selling your products, selling your services to customers. And if you can't do that, if you can't share your message effectively, you're going to lose sales, because people aren't going to buy off you because they won't know that you are doing X, Y, and Z, because you're just not getting that clear enough. And that's something I want to improve in, because I love sales, but I haven't been practicing it of late. I think it's very important to start figuring out what my message is, and then start figuring out what resonates with people, like my customers around the world. What is it that they want to actually me to produce for them? What content, and also what products and services? And I won't find that out if I don't start going out and looking for that. I think also what's very important about podcasting is that it brings people to me. So if I wasn't podcasting, perhaps you or other people would not have known about my service, about the products I'm doing, what I'm in the middle of. You wouldn't know, because there's nowhere for you to know that. So by me creating a podcast, I'm enabling you to actually get and understand what I'm at, but also you're being inspired, basically. So you're seeing what I'm doing, and then if you're interested in the same thing, which you think you would be because you're actually listening to this podcast, you then therefore would perhaps start challenging your own realizations, your own thought processes, and just start, moving into the same area that I'm in, which is online marketing, which is passive income online, different type of income streams. These are all things that, I wouldn't have known about years ago, but I've learned, and now I want to share that with you guys. This is not a normal thing for me to do, like to share a podcast, to create the content, to speak in front of a camera. This is not what I'm used to doing, but nonetheless, this is something that I want to get into and want to try to explore. And so what caused me to get interested in podcasts, apart from those reasons why I want to do it? Well, the old analogy, do you ever hear a computer is only as good as the person that programs it? And I am trying to learn about all this stuff and try to increase my knowledge in it. And the only way I'm going to do that is by going out and listening to people that have already done it. So I'm actually listening to podcasts every single day. I'd say on average, conservatively, I would listen to probably about an hour to an hour and a half of podcasts every single day. And that to me that's me soaking in knowledge. That's me actually learning about the topics that I'm interested in, because podcasts are very, very focused. They're not like the radio. They're very focused on specific topics. And this podcast is going to grow and develop with me over time. I'm going to get better at it as well, because at the moment, I'm sure I've plenty to learn. But like everyone, you have to start someday. And that's what I'm doing. So to me, podcasting does matter. It really does. So I'm listening to podcasts every day. And the difference that I found over the past year to year and a half in my mindset, in my knowledge on my topic, and also lots of little things, because podcasts are full of information. There's information from the start to finish. There's constant information. It's not like a YouTube vlog, say, for instance, where there's only snippets of information. Podcasts are continuous information. And I'm always picking things up. And then when I'm in the middle of something or working on a project, all of a sudden I remember something I learned in a podcast, whether it's a saying, whether it's what happens in business when you do something, how people react to certain, say, for instance, marketing campaigns. Then I'm like, oh, I heard that in a podcast. And then so I might be able to implement that in my business. So if you're not listening to many podcasts, if this is the only podcast you listen to, look, guys, you really need to start listening to them, because they're actually not that bad. to be completely honest. I know that's a negative way to explain it. Something would be not that bad, but I am Irish. But no, they're actually worth listening to because there's so much out there to learn. And, you know, I implore you to pick a number of podcasts and start listening to them. You know, I listen to them in the car when I'm driving. I do quite a bit of driving, so I'm always listening to podcasts. And yes, then I go on and listen to some music, but I do listen to the podcast when I'm driving, and I fly through them. So there's podcasts on mindset, there's podcasts on marketing, there's podcasts on business. These are the sort of ones I listen to. For you, it might be different. You could have other topics as well, but definitely find podcasts that you like and go listen to them because, you know, all our phones nowadays can play podcasts. Our cars got Bluetooth. So that's what I think you should do. And I think that's where you'll actually really start learning. Because they say every day is a school day and you should continue to learn because that's how you grow and actually figure out what you really, really want to do. So that's where I'm at. And you're going to see this podcast grow. Today, for instance, I listened to the last podcast. I wasn't particularly happy with the sound. I like sound. I wasn't happy with the sound. And so I actually just took out a lapel mic and started using that. So that hopefully should improve the sound because its quality is important as well. So that's sort of things I'm doing at this end just to try to improve and to grow. But nonetheless, that is why I think podcasting matters. And that's why I think you should have podcasting in your life. So if you're listening to this just because you know me and you're like, oh, Peter has a podcast, I'm going to listen to it. Great, thumbs up. But I implore you to listen to other podcasts as well. Probably someone's further down the line than me because you will realize that not that they're better, which I'm sure they are. They've been at this longer than me, but you will find podcasts that suit you. And I think that's what's really important. And you'll also see, by watching me, you'll also see my business, but you'll see my podcast grow over the next number of months and years. So really very, very exciting. So thank you very much for listening today. Short, I know, but I'm sure hopefully you got something from it. And I look forward to bringing you the next podcast very soon on the 0 to 1 podcast. And you might be wondering, what does 0 to 1 mean? Well, 0 being the start, 1 being infinite. So we don't know where it's going to go, but where the business is going to go, but we're going to see it grow. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. The podcast is on Spotify. I'm delighted. The first time I've been on Spotify. So you can actually subscribe there as well. And I'm actually going to try to record as much of them as I can, because then we can actually put them up on YouTube, which is another sort of medium that the content can go up on. But nonetheless, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll get notified every time there's a new podcast, either on YouTube or on Spotify. And yes, thank you very much for listening. Take care, guys. Bye.